Hello everybody, this is Iron13 and this is an RCWE update. It's basically going to be a large update. It's going to entail a few things that I'm going to cover with you. And don't worry about Afterburn, it's coming out on Saturday. There's no issues with that. I'll have it all recorded and ready to premiere on Saturday, so there's no worries about that. I have everything recorded. There's pretty much no delay in that, so don't worry about that. I'm just basically providing an update as to what's going to be happening within basically the next several months. And yeah, it's basically going to be what's going to be happening within RCWE for the next couple of months, and basically so that you're up to date and on anything. And I'm also just going to be talking about just some other things afterwards. So the first part of the video is mainly going to be about the updates. So if you're only interested about the updates, that's where it's going to be. After that, it's just going to be talking about some other things and just stuff as to just some other stuff that I'll just talk about. Alright, so first off, I bet you everybody is wondering about when Friday Night Fights and the rest of Season 5 is going to be continuing on. This is the one that I wanted to take priority with telling you guys as to what's happening and what the plan is. So yeah, so basically I am currently working on stuff for Friday Night Fights. So I do have basically the first episode recorded and drafted and put into kind of like a video file. As for when you'll get it, that's gonna still be a long ways away. The reason for that is basically I want to record and have everything all at once, so that I have everything and put out for you guys, so that there's no delay in that. The reason why is that you waited for I'm gonna say, I think it's been about 3 years since I started doing RCWE again. I'd rather have everything all created and prepared for you, because I already know where everything is going. So I pretty much have stuff. Sorry, that was my phone. So yeah, I have pretty much an idea as to where everything's going, so I know who's going to be champions at the end of that and what kind of storylines are going to be leading up to that and whatnot. So yeah, I already have that idea, because that's why I'm doing the championship series and now adding in Afterburn. I'll be talking more about Afterburn after all this. But yeah, Friday Night Fights, as I said, I am working on stuff. I have started working on stuff, basically started last month. I have pretty much an outline as to where things are going. I know where things are going to be going for Fight for Glory 5, for All or Nothing, so I know where all that's going. If there's any sort of minor changes, I can make adjustments, but I pretty much know where everything is going. So that's good on my part. I want to have all this ready for you guys, so that once Friday Night Fights returns in the CPVs and the rest of Season 5 come back, that you'll be excited for it. And some of the plans I'm pretty sure you'll really love. There's definitely... I changed something recently, and it was just basically... I think it was due to some... I don't know if it was yeah, it was one of the comments, and it got me thinking about a good idea for it, and I really love where one of the ideas is going to be going for it, and I'm pretty sure you guys will definitely enjoy where I'm gonna head for the rest of season 5. Now, for when the rest of season 5 will come out, that's a little bit more like vague as to when it's coming out. It's because of the fact that I'm doing this all at once. I'm trying to give myself a good amount of time to do all this. I'm hoping to have stuff finished sooner rather than later, so that people don't like get antsy with some of this, with the championship series and Afterburn. But I'm going to talk more into some of that with the Afterburn and championship series stuff. So, but the time frame as for when I'm going to be putting that out and like how many episodes that's going to entail, I can provide that for you right now. So first, how many episodes are going to be left in season 5 in terms of Friday Night Fights and the CPVs? There's going to be 8. I have limited myself to 8 so that I don't get burnt out and just, yeah. So there's going to be 6 Friday Night Fights. So basically 3 a CPV, 3 again, and CPV again. So basically, 3 Friday Night Fights, then it's going to be All or Nothing, 3 Friday Night Fights, and then Fight for Glory, Glory 5. There might be some little things in between those, but that's... I don't want to get into that in case I cancel it. In case I cancel that stuff, but yeah, that's basically the 8 that I'm doing for the rest of season 5 after we gone through like Afterburn and Championship Series stuff. When it's coming out, that's going to be about, I'm going to say, the earliest will likely be November. Like I said, that's the earliest. That's not a guaranteed. Latest is going to be early 2024. I can't really give a good time frame, but it's going to be early 2024. I'll have to set myself a limit as to how long it is going to take, but there is good reason basically for why I'm giving myself that amount of time, because for Friday Night Fights, like, I believe I can get that stuff done fairly well. All or Nothing is going to be a little bit more tricky with some stuff, but I believe I can finish that in good time as well. It's going to be Fight for Glory 5 as to why I'm giving that vague timeline. Because I'm trying to make it special, and I'm trying to make it special for this because it's a big deal. Fight for Glory 5, because basically it's my season finale of basically RCWE. I didn't say series finale, I said season finale, so I'm still planning on doing stuff RCWE related after that, so don't worry about that. But yeah, I'm planning a good thing for Fight for Glory 5. I'm not going to go into specifics as to like how I'm making it special, but you'll definitely see, and I'm fairly certain you'll definitely be excited by it. And yeah, so that's basically my first update for for RCWE, basically entailing for Friday Night Fights and for the rest of the CPVs. I'll move on to the Championship Series and Afterburn now. So yeah, so I'm really liking the fact that I've done the Championship Series and now I'm adding Afterburn. So Championship Series, I've always left it a little bit loose as to what I'm gonna do, and but for the most part, like I said, I do have a strict. I know where things are gonna be ending, so I can try to play around with stuff and whatnot. Afterburn, I've started to add because I want to add a little bit of story elements. Can it lead to a CPV that I might do in the future? Possibly, maybe, I don't know. It's all going to depend on how I feel. But for the most part, like, yeah, I'm really liking what I'm doing. I mean, I'm hoping that everybody likes what I'm doing with the Championship Series, and I hope you'll like with what I'll do with Afterburn. Because at least with Afterburn, it starts easing me back into storyline content. Well, I'm going to say not really, because I'm working on Friday Night Fights as well, but at least for the most part, like, I'm pretty much getting stuff done on time, and it doesn't stress me out. So that's pretty much good on me. As for Afterburn, it's not going to be. I'm going to say it's not going to be monthly. It's most likely going to be like. I'm going to say it's going to be like maybe every couple of months, possibly even 3, depending on how things go. But I mean, I'll be adding some storyline content and stuff, and yeah, it's just going to add some stuff, and just to hype up the Afterburn episode that's going to be coming up, there's going to be a debut of a new superstar. So like how Ash has debuted, there's going to be another new superstar that's going to be coming to RCWE, so look forward to that on Saturday. And yeah, I have a general timeline for, like, as I said, with Friday Night Fights, I have a general timeline. The one thing is because I don't really have a general timeline with the Championship Series and Afterburn, the one thing is there may be an endpoint where I might have to take a little bit of a break to start working on stuff with Friday Night Fights, where I'll just kind of like end things off. That's maybe where I want to put in kind of like a CPV sort of thing to end it, and then have like a little bit of a break, and then bring in Friday Night Fights and the rest of season 5. Because I know where things are going. I'm not going to tell you how many like title changes are going to happen and all that, because I want to keep that like in spoiler-free territory, essentially. But because I know where the championships are going, I know there's going to be kind of like an endpoint where I don't want it to drag on so long that people get tired of it, especially with the Championship Series and with Afterburn. Well, Afterburn, I have a little bit more freedom, but I don't want people to get burnt out on the Championship Series, so, and kind of expecting like every so like, yeah, basically I just don't want everybody expecting that, oh, every like month that there's going to be a championship change or something like that, and just getting frustrated that there are no championship changes. So, and especially without like storyline content. And as you saw with the One Championship Series, I added storyline content with Riku, so that's one of the storyline contents that's going forward. And you'll see how that goes, but yeah, that's basically how things are going to play out with the Championship Series and with Afterburn as well. And I'm gonna add in. There will be some specials. Like usually, like in terms of specials, they'll usually be like Championship Series specials where I do like special matchups. Likely around this. Also, likely around the summertime, late spring. I'm going to be doing the women's RCW tournament. I didn't want to add the women's tournament at the beginning of the year because I honestly felt like having two tournaments at the same time it kind of makes it tiring, and I want to keep things special. Because for the women's RCW tournament, it might be a smaller tournament. It might not be as large as 16 superstars. So it might be just like 8 superstars, but like for this, I want to make it special. So yeah, that's another plan that I have going that I can announce here right now is the RCW Women's Tournament is going to happen. It's just happening basically later on because I didn't want to boggle it up with the men's tournament. And I feel that actually helps with freeing things up and just keeping things separate. So that... Because when I did basically both at the same time for the beginning of Season 5, I think that didn't help much for myself. But I was also establishing the women's divisions, so I needed to get that out, the RCW Women's Tournament during that time. So I just don't want to do the same thing and just basically get people tired of a tournament. And yeah, and especially with the RCW tournament, especially with the men's tournament, I don't want to make it as large as what I did last time because I think I made it too large. And it didn't help myself. Alright, so that's basically the main two updates as for RCWE. After this, I'll just be talking about certain stuff, so it is going to be RCWE related, but it's just not going to be like important stuff like what I've talked about with Friday Night Fights and the rest of Season 5 and the Championship Series and all that, so if you don't want to watch that, you can stop here. If you want to keep going and just basically listen on, I'll be talking about basically kind of the future of RCWE, just what stuff has been happening in my life, why I pretty much kind of like went on this hiatus sort of deal, and just basically about that stuff. So if you don't want to listen to that, you can just stop right here, and I'll continue on with the other stuff. And it's very likely I might, after this, I might have just like a regular old sort of video that might be attached to it. I don't know. But yeah, so that was all that I had for the news for RCWE. Now let's get on to the next part. So first I'm going to talk about the future of RCWE. I definitely am going to be continuing on with RCWE after Season 5. I have been thinking about like moving on to another game. So for anybody who's still listening, I kind of asking this out here. I've been thinking about either moving to WWE 2K19 or WWE 2K23. So basically with 2K19, I know that there's a lot that you can do, and for 2K23, while it hasn't come out as of yet, I'm going to be playing around with it to see how viable it is. I've been playing around with 2K22, but I'm not going to be using that for like for essentially for basically beyond season 5. I mean, I might, because I've been trying to play around with 2K22 to see how well I can use it, and it's a struggle to use. I've been struggling, like I've been playing around with like 2 controllers, controlling people, and it's been a struggle to kind of use in some cases. So it's kind of made me iffy as to whether or not I should use 2K23. And I know that there is going to be changes to 2K23 for the most part. And I can't wait to actually try it out once it does come out, because I'm getting it for both the PS4 and PS5. I'm not going to be using the PS5 version. I'd be using the PS4 because, for one, I have more controllers for. I have controllers for the PS4 that I don't have to go out and buy like PS5 controllers, and they're expensive as all heck. The PS5 controllers. So with the PS4 controllers, they're at least less expensive, but at least I can use the PS5 controllers for the PS4 games. So that makes it much more easier, because I at least right now have 3 controllers, and I can buy more PS4 controllers if I ever need it. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to need it, especially if I'm going to be doing some storyline stuff. But I kind of want your own opinion on this. Like, should I move to WWE 2K23? Should I move to WWE 2K19? I know with 2K19 that the creation suite is basically like doing downloads from the internet. I know the servers are down. Kind of disappointed with that, but it is what it is. The one thing is that when I got 2K19, I actually did basically download a bunch of superstars, and RC Productions, I did download El Novino, and I actually did get downloaded Mr. Amazing. The only thing is I don't have Alistair's characters, so if I ever do need to use Alistair's character, if Alistair does give permission for me to use him again, then I would have to basically create Alistair from scratch, and I would definitely need Alistair's help on that one. Let's see. But yeah, any sort of characters that I did miss, I would have to make from scratch, and for the most part, I would love to have the creations, the option community creations to download stuff, because that's what I did for 2K14 for whenever I could, whenever I needed such characters. So I have a majority of the characters. Actually, if I'm showing the video right now, you most likely will be seeing a test footage for 2K19. It was a Royal Rumble that I recorded not too long ago as test footage. It doesn't show all characters who I downloaded, because some characters are basically spoilery, and it's stuff for like future stuff. So That's the reason why why I chose characters that I did. So, and actually during the Royal Rumble, you'll actually see El Novino is a part of it. I don't remember when he comes out, so if you are watching that part of the video, so where I'm showing the Royal Rumble footage, because right now I don't have it running right now because I'm doing all this in one take. You know, not smart, but I'd rather do that with recording something like this, especially with news-related stuff. But what is your opinion? Should I go with 2K23 for my videos? Should I go with 2K19? Because, I mean, the one thing is that with 2K23, I have to do everything basically from scratch and find the characters. 2K19, I still have to create some characters. I have a lot of characters downloaded, but their movesets aren't put on yet. And I know I definitely have to change a lot of moves, like some signature moves and some finishing moves. Because I mean, like, with our world champion Fry, like, it's a created move. I would have to find a move that's similar to that. I know that at the end he uses a Dominator for that, but I mean, I would have to find something that's fairly similar to the original Lightspeed driver, so, or even then I'll just give him a new move. I don't know. But yeah, what's your opinion on that? Should I use 2K19? Should I use 2K23? And yeah, we'll leave it up to discussion in the comments, and I'll keep my eye out on the comments. I know sometimes I'm late with replying to stuff, but either way, what's your opinion on that? And yeah, just leave that in the comments, and I'll try to reply as best I can to those. Okay, next thing that I want to talk about is essentially why the hiatus, what happened, and I'll pretty much provide more information on that as to why right now. This is one thing I wanted to talk about, why I just stopped doing videos for that time. I was burnt out, to be honest. That's pretty much the main part. Yeah, I was just burnt out and I wasn't liking my stuff. So after, I think it was the last Afterburn, I started making the latest episode of Friday Night Fights. At that time, I can't remember the time frame as to when this happened. I think it was 2019. I started making it after I had released the video of Afterburn, and the stuff I recorded, I did not like personally. I just did not like it. I was just not happy with it, and after that, I just left it, and I just kept leaving it after that. Because one reason is me and my girlfriend we moved to a new place, and no, we didn't move to. I'm trying to get basically my time frame on all this correct, because, man, I can't even remember when I gotta look up when I last released the video, basically before the hiatus, so I'm just looking that up. So yeah, I was burnt out and just not liking what I was recording anymore. It didn't help that I lived in an apartment with my girlfriend, um, and basically, like, we had a one-bedroom apartment, so where I could do my recording would basically be out in the living room. I just didn't want to cause much in terms of disturbance, and yeah, that didn't help at all. But for me, not actually going back, I was just basically providing myself excuses as to not basically come back. At that time, I wanted to work on stuff, but I also didn't. Because I think at the same time, I was traveling like an hour's worth of driving time to work. And for the most part, like, my work involves pretty much deals with staring at a computer and also dealing with computer issues. So you can see my frustration where I come back and just don't want to work on stuff. That's pretty much one thing as to what caused the burnout. And yeah, I mean, just looking kind of like back on stuff, it's all that combined, and I just really just was burnt out. I'm pretty much saying burnt out because I know I was burnt out. All these other reasons are just basically supplementary, and honestly, like, yeah, because it was like 3 years ago, probably 3.5 at this point, where I released, I think it was Afterburn 10, 11, okay, it was Afterburn 13. So, when I released that, I had worked on, once again, I worked on Friday Night Fights. I recorded pretty much the matchups, and I was just not having it with the matchups. I just didn't like it. And I think at the time, like, a lot of sort of stuff was just happening, so I just didn't want to do RCWE at the time anymore. And, or at least for the most part, like I said, it was kind of a not want to do it, just based on circumstances. And I'm attributing it based on the fact that I was just burnt out. Because when me and my girlfriend moved, we moved into basically an apartment that had like more than one bedroom. So I had more of like not a little office, it was more of a big room, but it was kind of like where I had my computer and stuff, and I had planned to kind of like come back because I would actually have the ability to record stuff in my own like room and not feel bad about it. And I think around that time there was discussion about I think there was a big discussion about COPPA. For the most part, COPPA I don't think is a big issue on my part. Because, I mean, I don't target towards kids. So for the most part, like, anybody under 13, I don't want to target towards that. That's not where I've been targeting. I've always wanted to target, like, basically, like, adults. And, I mean, I know for the most part, like, I'm pretty sure that teens have looked at my videos. I know for sure. But for the most part, like, I don't target towards kids. I've gone in and marked all my videos as not for kids to make sure that, yeah, it's not for kids. So I've never had much in terms of issues of COPPA. It kind of got me worried, but looking at stuff, I was like, I don't target towards kids. So I'm stating it out here now. RCWE is not targeted towards kids. We will never be targeted towards kids. So we're not WWE who targets towards kids. We will never target towards kids. And yeah, I think not too long after we moved, COVID happened. That wouldn't be as much of a big deal. I never, for the most part with my work, I started working remotely at home, so that was no big deal. That actually really helped. Oh yeah, because that really helped a lot. After that, my sister's brother had to move in with us, and because he would have to stay in the other room, that would really prevent me from actually doing work with RCWE. But yeah, at that time, I was basically like, I would have instances where like, oh, I want to do RCWE again, and then there's instances where I was like, I didn't want to do it, and just basically not thinking about it. So basically there was that. And now more recently, like, that was basically a couple years, and I had a whole shit lot of stuff happen within the years of COVID that really, I'm gonna say, was not good, but in the long term, well, one of the things that happened to me, I'm going to say, like, I'll get around to that. So basically, in our new apartment, we had a lot of shit happen. Not a lot of good shit. And I mean, when is shit ever good? We had a neighbor that basically was not happy with the noise that we would make. Like, they were directly below us, and was just not happy with the noise that we made, and at some points even came up and screamed at us. That was not fun. There's more of a happy ending due to that, because for the most part, I think we kind of put her in her place with talking with the residential manager, but it was still like walking on eggshells, especially with living there. I had mentioned basically my girlfriend's brother moving in with us. Not so much of basic. It wasn't a bad thing. It's just it kind of made things wobbly for a bit, because like her brother is not a bad person. I'm gonna say that. Like, he's a generally good person, but it's just that for me and my girlfriend, we're kind of very private and just very inactive. It kind of threw us off for a bit. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, that it just left us off for a bit, but everything pretty much kind of went out smoothly after that. After that, you're gonna sound shocked when I say this, I witnessed a guy getting, or at least, yeah, I witnessed an event happen where basically a person got shot by a gun. The one thing is, like, how graphic was it? I'm gonna say that it was in the dark. I heard people yelling. I went out and looked. I saw the gunfire, like basically the light of the gunfire, and basically hearing the guy kind of like in agony. Do I know what happened at the end? For the most part, I don't know what the person's fate was. I don't think I'll ever know that, because I don't think it was. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I do believe that the person most likely survived, because for the most part, it would have been a big deal if there was another, like, if there was a murder that happened, essentially. If the person died. I laugh. I know I laugh, but it's not a fun thing to kind of like witness. But that kind of left me a bit shaken up. So yeah, there's that. I think what else kind of left like during COVID is that I couldn't see my parents for basically a whole year. Like I know I could speak and go on like webcam with them, but for the most part with COVID happening, like I couldn't go and see my parents for like a whole year until I actually got vaccinated. Because my parents like live like 5 hours away, and for the most, I mean, with COVID happening, like you don't want your own parents to like get it when, so you just don't want to feel selfish. So that took a hit on my psyche a lot. I talk a lot about bad things, but don't worry, it definitely gets better. It definitely gets better. Because I mean, I am doing RCWE. I'm in a much better place. Basically, spoilers on this whole story, but yeah. And the last thing I'm gonna talk about in terms of like my bad year or how it ended. Before I went, because I had just gotten my vaccinations, like both of them, and I was going on holidays for my work, and we're gonna go see my mom and dad for the first time in about, like, I'm gonna say like a year and a half, like in person. The one thing is that during that I got kind of like ill, or like was not feeling well, and like I had like it was weird. Like I was kind of like, I'm gonna say I was constipated, but I was also ill. And for the most part, what had happened is, like, I thought this was basically a normal constipation, and it wasn't. I'm gonna explain one thing. I had diverticulitis, which is basically I had an inflamed pocket in my intestine, and so I didn't know that, and I was doing like regular things to try to get myself like not constipated. And I know this is not a very fun, a disgusting thing to talk about, but yeah, like I was just having issues with that for about I think it was like a few days, and like I was just not feeling well. And the day before this happened, I was like actively busy at night because we had to prepare our apartment for something else. I'm not gonna discuss that one. It was another bad thing that happened to us, and it, I just don't want to discuss that one. For the most part, like, what happened is that pocket burst, and so I had to get a colonoscopy. So basically, what they had to do is basically they took out the infection, they took out the damaged intestine that burst, and now basically basically my intestine now comes out of my stomach. You can search up colonoscopy basically online. It'll tell you more as to what happens, but yeah, essentially I had a pocket burst in my intestine where infection was basically leaking inside me. If I hadn't gone when I did and got surgery, I would have most likely been dead, and I most likely would have not had the chance to tell you guys basically what was happening with RCWE. So yeah, that was my year and a half of hell. And as you can see, that's probably a good reason why I didn't do RCWE and was burnt out for all of that. I pause here, but yeah, that was essentially something, and I am definitely much better now and in much better terms. Like, mentally, I'm much better. I'm honestly much happier. I don't have much issues nowadays, so I'm very happy with that. I'm honestly just glad to be alive. And that basically just goes as to, like, yeah, that basically goes as to one of the reasons as to why I returned to RCWE. It's a small part, it wasn't a major part. For the most part, another like major reason is I bought a house, so we have our own place. We're not attached to an apartment, so not much in terms of issues with basically getting into like arguments with basically like our neighbors. Neighbors around here are all pretty good. It's a very quiet neighborhood, and I have my own space. I have my own office, so that's good. So that helped a lot. What actually did move me to basically start RCWE again is a couple things. One was Alistair coming back to EWWE. That was one thing that really kind of got me thinking. Because Alistair, if you're listening to this, you had been gone for probably more than what you had been gone for a lot longer than I had been, especially with my hiatus. And when you started up again, that really got me thinking again on my part. But I was still basically on the back burner of I didn't want to do this. There's just no way, because I just didn't want to do finish up everything. I was just basically on the brink of doing a video saying that I wouldn't do this. And yeah, I was basically on that point. But the one thing that happened, it was Was it YouTube or was... yeah, it was YouTube. For anybody who doesn't know, like, it's a group called New Legacy Inc. They do a series called the Championship Series. I started watching that at around basically in, I think it was in the summertime or whatnot. I don't remember exactly when this happened, but I started watching that, and it basically came with an idea of basically like, you know, I could just ease myself into another season and start doing like regular championship matchups each week that everybody else does. And sorry, I'm just getting a message from my girlfriend. I may have to stop this. But yeah, I essentially started watching New Legacy's Championship Series, and I started getting ideas like I could do something similar to like this, and when things basically came down to it, that's what gave me the inspiration to do the Championship Series and to continue on with RCWE. I felt like I could just ease myself in and basically start getting stuff ready for the rest of season 5 of RCWE, and yeah, that's what got me to do it. And all of, like, I just am glad that I'm doing it again. I am happy with the stuff that I am doing. I may be a little bit like lazy with trying to do stuff, but for the most part I've been getting stuff done pretty much quickly. And if there's anything where I'm kind of like if there's any times where I need to take a break, I usually try to inform you, like I did in the last episode where I just wanted to do a break. And I think it's just been fun. And for the most part, I'm gonna stop the recording on my part, but I'll come back to it and I'll discuss some more things. But yeah, that's basically how I came back to RCWE. It was thanks to Alistair. If you've been listening to this, Alistair, like, you're one of the big reasons as to why I'm still doing it, or why I came back. And also New Legacy, like their Championship Series. Thanks to basically both Alistair and New Legacy, I'm doing RCWE again, and I'm enjoying the heck out of doing it again. And I really can't wait to see your reactions for when I start getting a lot more stuff out for you. And on myself, I'm gonna cut myself off here, but for everybody else, you'll be seeing more me talking about the next stuff. So I at least know where I'm gonna be talking about that. Future Ryan here. This is basically a day after I recorded this, but after looking at the length of the amount for the RCWE update, I've decided to just basically cut it short and just basically put it out as is. So whatever stuff I was going to discuss, I'll have to discuss on a later date, and I'll just basically leave it at that for this RCWE update and just basically miscellaneous stuff. So we'll see you tomorrow for basically the return of Afterburn. Signing out. Sorry, Zyron13 signing out.